What's going on YouTube? We're back here with another video on Etheria restart, and I'm going to be talking about SR characters that you should 100% definitely build when the game comes out, hoping that none of the characters get nerfed, because the first one I'm going to start off with is this guy right here. If you get him, please build him, bro. Like, he's just going to be amazing in everything, like literally everything. Like, he's gonna be crazy in PvE content and PvP content. You know, his turn meter here, this is what's insane, bro, especially with the effect resistance. But the fact that he could push them so far back, and if you have the right speed tuning and the right characters, you could probably go 2 turns before whatever you're fighting has their turn, maybe even 3 if you're really, you know, doing it well. But yeah, he's just amazing. The pushback is insane. The effect resistance down is insane for characters that could utilize that, like a Kraken or Obel, a DOT unit, you know, a unit that could inflict some type of debuff onto the enemy. So yeah, his effect resistance down is nice. The speed down is going to be amazing. He's also got a silence as well, which is crazy, because, you know, if you inflict silence, they could only basically do a basic attack. So that's insane. In his basic attack, he could also still turn meters as well. And if you're partnering that up with other characters that have this as a basic attack, trust me, it kind of gets toxic, man, because, you know, you do this with this character and, you know, it triggers the effect, they get pushed back a little bit, then you go with another character and they also have the still turn meter thing, and now you're pushing that enemy further back or whatever. It could get toxic. But this guy is a must build if you get him, bro. Top tier unit, you know, bro, you just have to build him. He's just going to be too damn good. A really fast unit as well. I don't think he's the fastest. I think Kloss is the fastest, and maybe Lily after that as well. But he's the only fast unit that has a turn meter push like this. So yeah, it kind of just makes him insane. Definitely a must build, my boy Marvel. They might nerf him because he is that good. And next one I want to get into is the Ting. Now, I would only say the Ting if you're probably not gonna well, or if you have like some crazy luck and you pull crazy amount of DPS units. But this guy is gonna make Aurora, goddamn Terramonton so freaking easy. You know, like, you don't even really have to max build him, to be fair. He's just gonna do a crap ton of damage with his ult and his passive, with his crit rate into crit damage as well. And like, if you just partner that up with right characters, he's gonna be hitting like for like 40k at a really low level, bro, because it's gonna be insane, the amount of damage and the amount of numbers he can really hit for. So the Ting's another one I'll throw in there, but as I said, I don't think you have to fully build him. You could like half-ass build him and he will still be cracked in Terramonton. But, you know, single DPS units are in a funny place, because, you know, AoE units just seem to be better, because, you know, why, you know, use a character that's single target, might kill or get close to killing the character, where instead when you could use an AoE unit that could kill everyone, or near enough kill everyone, you know. But he is really good in certain places as well, other places as well, apart from those boss fights. He's definitely a good character. I would say is worth building up if you just don't have that many characters. Another one is definitely Chiaki the Echo. Now, if you're lacking support units, or you're not gonna go on Freya's banner, Chiaki the Echo is definitely a good alternative, just overall as well. Like, she's just overall a great support unit. You know, the turn meter push, the attack buff, you know, the Ave Maria as well, immune to still turn meter and turn meter minus, increases other allies turn meter by 5% at the end of the turn. This is gonna be amazing. Then her passive as well is you know, is insane as well, man. The 2-turn attack up to 3 random ally units. Yeah, that's gonna be nice, bro. And her Purify could work really well with healers, or, you know, just anything, to be fair. The fact that she could just debuff, you know, it's gonna be nice. But yeah, really good unit, decent speed as well. Really good support unit for an SR unit. One is gonna be my boy Gray. He probably has the most value, because you actually do get him for free. You know, he's just gonna be an insane unit, because he could play with 2 DPS units. If you really want to run like a 5-man team, 2 DPS units, a Gray, another, you know, debuffer slash support unit, and the last one could be a healer or another support slash debuff unit. Because the thing about Gray, free, but he could also increase everyone's crit rate by 30%, and, you know, he's going to do a decent amount of damage, but he could also do defense down by 60% for 2 turns. Inflicts a 2-turn defense down, yeah. So the fact that he could buff you, then debuff the enemy, and make your other DPS units do more damage, I mean, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't build him, especially because he's free. You also get a skin for him as well, I think, for free. Plus, you could use him in both of the fights in Terramonton and Doki Doki. So his early game value is really high. Another one is Dinah. I think her value is gonna skyrocket, because I think even though she might be a red unit and you might just see people using her for Terramonton, I think people that want to nuke stuff really fast, speed run stuff, or just in general, she's gonna be like a really good unit, because look at her debuffs. She has defense down by 60%, vulnerable increases damage taken by 30%. So you got these two already, but then look at her erosion, right? When taking the next crit damage, consumes 1 stack, causing this hit to additionally deal true damage equal to 60% of the attacker's attack, and increases the attacker's turn meter by 10%. Bro, she's landing she could land 3 crazy debuffs for you to go and do some crazy damage on your DPS unit, you know. So if you're able to get this erosion with the vulnerable, with the defense down, trust me, then you matched up with someone like the Ting in the Terramonton. That's why he could hit even like crazy high numbers, bro. But this could be insane in all types of game modes, and there's AoE, so if she does land on everyone, that's just gonna be insane. But I think her value will definitely skyrocket, because you just pair this up with certain other units, man, and it could be crazy. Because if she lands everything here, then you have a buffer that could buff a crit rate, crit damage, or attack, you know. Then you have your AoE DPS unit go after this, bro. While the enemies got all of this, they're gonna do a crap ton of damage. Then over here, she's got her damage boost, man, decent amount of damage, and she has an 80% chance to inflict 2 stacks of erosion. You know what I'm saying? So she could do it with this, and she could do it with that. Then this basic attack, I love when characters have this basic attack. She has a chance to still turn me out with 40% chance, you know. So her one's actually pretty high, 40% chance to still it when maxed out. But yeah, man, I think she's gonna be insane. Obviously for Terramonton, she's gonna be insane, but I think for other, you know, other PvE content, maybe even PvP, if done right, maybe she could also be insane. Because if we're being honest, in PvP, if you're able to go first and she could go before your DPS units and apply all 3 of these, then your DPS AoE units go, and they're like crazy damage dealers, you know, you might be able to one round a lot more easier with her. But I think her value is gonna skyrocket. I think she's insane. And you know, when talking about SRs, you have to talk about Kraken, man. Kraken is cracked, bro. He is insane. Definitely a must build if you get him, in my opinion, bro. He's gonna help you through so much PvE content, and he's gonna be insane in PvP. Partnered up with Marvel, like, bro, literally 2 of your units could be SR units, you know. And SR units are also easier to build, I believe. Like, I think they're just easier, you know. They use less resources or something, I don't know, but I just know they're easier to build. But his CC here, being able to have a chance to freeze everyone is crazy, you know. Then this could also freeze, and this could defense down. So he's doing a lot, you know. The defense down is going to come in clutch sometimes, freezing a single enemy maybe when they're about to take a turn, or freezing an enemy that didn't get frozen with the ult. You know, this could come in clutch, and this just being able to freeze almost everyone, if you're lucky enough, is just going to be so nice and clutch at times. Definitely a must build, man. He's just going to make stuff more easier in PvP and in PvE content. Those are the SR characters that I feel like are must builds, in my opinion. And now I just want to throw in, like, I'll say Sonya as well. I actually really like her. I actually prefer her over Valerian, and I actually prefer her over Link Low. I don't know if that's crazy, but that's just me personally. I love the turn meter push she has. You know, I like her passive, and I like the fact that she could heal every time she hits. She could heal like 2 people or something with the lowest HP, and she could also heal with this and revive someone if they are dead. So yeah, man, I think she's amazing healer, bro. I really like her for the other ones, and I think her value is actually high because a lot of people do partner her up with Tiamat, so there is that as well, man. But I think she's an amazing healer, and I think just because she's more simple and easier to use, it just, you know, makes her value a bit more higher. Now I want to, like, okay, there's 2 characters I'm really thinking of. Okay, there's actually honestly 4: Victor, Obul, both of the Kazimi's. This Kazimi over here and this Kazimi. So this Kazimi, I believe, could do sleep, but the thing is, you have to speed tune it right, because if your allies are going before the enemies, like, I don't know, it's weird to explain. So she could sleep, right? She could put them in slumber, and it's basically a debuff, right? And the enemies won't be able to act when it comes to their turn, so it will basically go back on their turn meter, you know, and whoever goes next goes next. But the thing is, if a teammate attacks after her, it takes away the slumber, so it could take away the opportunity of, you know, the enemies going up on the turn meter to their turn and not being able to take it because they have the slumber effect. So the speed tuning or like turn order just has to be right, in my opinion. Like, it would be best if you could use her ult right before all the enemies are about to have their go on the turn meter, you know. But yeah, as I said, that's, you have to speed tune it really right, and I feel like that's gonna be the most annoying hard thing to do, because you kind of want to build her on speed too. But yeah, I think honorable mention that Kazuya. This Kazuya is pretty good as well because of the cooldown reduction, speed up, the chance to dispel, and decrease speed over here. But she's a bit more low on the list, you know. Other characters that I was naming are characters more good at like several stuff, you know. That's why I think they're must builds, you know. You could use them in PvE, PvP type of content. Victor, I've heard amazing things about, bro. I heard that he could just do crazy amounts of damage and yeah, just go crazy. So I'm hoping I could get him on this account. And Obul, I like his stun. I like pairing him up with what's his name, with Kraken in PvE type of contents, because if Kraken don't freeze, he could stun, or if Kraken does freeze, then you could just do your basic attack, then next turn you could try stun them all again, so you know the enemies like kind of miss 2 turns, you know. And you know, the DOT is pretty decent. I feel like DOT they do need to fix though. Like yeah, I think games just struggle to do DOT for some weird reason. But yeah, man, I think DOT definitely needs like an upgrade or a bonus to it. I heard Viper could get crazy as well, but in my opinion, must builds are definitely Marvel. The thing, kind of, you know, he's like on the bottom of must build, I would say, because you could really half build him. Gray, definitely. Chiaki the Echo, definitely. Kraken, definitely. Dinah, definitely. Oh yeah, Dorothy the Wish is actually a pretty good unit too, man. The buff that she could do and the turn meter she could do as well with the reduced cooldown is actually pretty nice. She's a pretty good unit too. But yeah, a lot of the SR units are actually pretty good, man. But I would say Marvel, Gray, Chiaki the Echo, Kraken, and Dinah are like the must builds in my opinion. But there's a lot of other good ones as well that you could build too. That's gonna be it from me, man. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, run up. I'll catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.
To you